Before updating the drive firmware, back up the current parameters.
You can learn how to back up parameters in the GSLOGIC video.
Let's go to parameter 0.06 to see the drive's current firmware version. Remove power from the drive. We don't want the drive on while we do the update. Connect a USB cable to your PC and the drive's USB configuration port. The USB cable will power the drive electronics during the firmware update. It's a good idea to remove any USB devices you can from your PC, especially any USB to 45M converters. They could interfere with the update process. It's also a good idea to close any programs you're not using on your PC. Bring up the GSLOGIC application. Now don't connect to the drive. Instead, go straight to the VFD firmware update. Select the COM port where your USB cable is located. In Windows Device Manager, look for this USB serial device. Looks like mine's on port 7, yours will probably be different, and put that here. Select the drive family you're using. I'm using a GS20. Now that we have the drive family selected, we can select the firmware file we need for the upgrade. Because we chose the drive family before doing this, GSLOGIC knew to look for the correct file type. If you don't select the drive family first, then you have to remember to change this yourself. And of course, you can always download the most recent firmware version at AutomationDirect.com. Well, that's it. Now we just hit burn to start the process. This takes around 5 minutes, so I'm going to fast forward the video. Erasing the drive takes about 15 seconds, and then it transitions into programming the drive, which takes about 5 minutes. When it's done, you'll see this update message on the drive. Apply power to the drive to complete the update. It takes a few seconds for these little dots to go across the screen, and once they're done, we have an updated drive. If we go back to parameter 0.06, we see we have the expected firmware version. My drive was already up to date, so this didn't change. Now don't forget to restore the parameters you saved back to the drive. A couple loose ends. You can update the firmware while the drive is in GS2 mode. The drive will still be in GS2 mode when the update is complete. You can't update the firmware while the drive is powered. Make sure only the USB cable is applying power. It's best to use the direct USB port on your PC or a powered USB hub and have no other devices plugged in while you do the firmware upgrade. If you're using an unpowered hub or have a bunch of devices plugged in, it might interfere with the power available or cause other problems. I like to verify my comms before doing a firmware update. Just go to the Connect dialog, choose the COM port you're using, and make sure this is set to RTU. Hit COM test. If you get this green OK, then comms are good. Now don't hit the connection button. You don't want to be connected to the drive while doing a firmware update. If the firmware update process has trouble connecting to the drive or the COM port, then try this. Connect to the drive, read the parameters, disconnect from the drive, and then try the software update again. This is a neat trick if the drive gets stuck in some weird mode that prevents the firmware update from working. Well, that ought to be enough to get you going. Click here to learn more about the GS20 family of drives. Click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll be notified when we publish new videos like this, and click here to learn more about Automation Direct's award-winning support options.